There was a boy who always played alone at the playground. He used to come with his best friend, but every time they arrived, his friend would leave him behind and play with the other kids. The boy would sit quietly on the bench, watching the other children laughing and running around, wishing he could join them. He didn't know why his friend abandoned him, but he tried not to let it bother him. Still, it hurt to feel left out. One day, while sitting on the bench, kicking his feet aimlessly, a dog appeared out of nowhere. It wagged its tail and looked at the boy with big, friendly eyes. The dog came closer, nudging the boy's hand with its wet nose. Surprised, the boy petted the dog hesitantly at first. But when the dog barked happily and started wagging its tail even harder, the boy couldn't help but smile. He threw a stick, and the dog eagerly fetched it. For the first time in a while, the boy felt truly happy. After that day, the boy came to the playground every afternoon, not to play with his friend, but to see the dog. The dog would always appear, as if it knew the boy was waiting for it.
You make me happy,
the boy would tell the dog, stroking its fur. The dog would bark in response, as if to say, I'm happy too. One afternoon, while the boy and the dog were playing fetch, his friend approached.
What are you doing?
The friend asked, watching the boy throw the stick.
Playing with my dog,
the boy replied proudly. His friend smirked and said,
Let me throw the stick.
The boy handed it over, trusting his friend. But instead of throwing the stick safely, the friend flung it toward the road. Before the boy could stop him, the dog bolted after it.
Wait, stop!
The boy shouted, but it was too late. A car sped down the road, and the dog ran right into its path. There was a screech of brakes, followed by a sickening thud. The boy's heart sank as he saw his beloved dog lying injured on the pavement.
No!
He cried, running to the dog's side. Behind him, his friend and the other kids laughed. Tears streamed down the boy's face as he gently picked up the dog and moved it out of the road.
It's going to be okay,
he whispered, though he wasn't sure if he believed it. As he sat there, cradling the dog, a man approached. The man said kindly,
Let me help you.
The boy looked up, desperate for help.
Thank you,
he said. Together, they took the dog to the vet. The vet examined the dog carefully.
Its leg is broken,
the vet said,
but it will heal with time.
The boy let out a sigh of relief.
Will it survive?
He asked nervously. The vet smiled.
Yes, don't worry. Your dog will be fine.
The man helped the boy take the dog home. The boy's father joined them, and together they built a little house for the dog in their backyard. They gave the dog fresh water and made sure it was comfortable. Every day, the boy checked on the dog, talking to it and making sure it was healing well. The next day, the boy returned to the playground with his friend.
Where's your dog?
The friend asked, pretending to be concerned.
Its leg is broken. It's recovering at home,
the boy replied. His friend laughed cruelly and said,
Then go play alone.
He ran off to join the other kids, leaving the boy on the bench once again. Weeks passed and the dog finally recovered. The boy was thrilled to have his companion back. They went to the playground together and the dog wagged its tail excitedly, happy to be outside again. While playing, the boy noticed his friend sitting on a bench holding his arm.
What happened to your arm?
The boy asked.
I fell, but it doesn't hurt,
the friend replied. He hesitated for a moment, then said,
I'm sorry I threw the stick and hurt your dog.
The boy didn't respond right away.
Do you want to play together?
The friend asked. After thinking for a moment, the boy nodded. They started playing football while the dog lay nearby, watching. The boy was winning, which seemed to annoy his friend. Suddenly, the friend pushed him, and the boy fell hard, hurting his leg.
It hurts!
The boy cried, tears streaming down his face. The dog barked angrily at the friend, who just laughed and said,
I was only joking. I don't really want to play with you.
He walked away, leaving the boy on the ground. As the boy sat there in pain, he heard a familiar voice.
I'll help you,
said the man who had helped him before. Grateful, the boy let the man carry him to the hospital, leaving the dog to wait outside. At the hospital, the doctor examined the boy's leg.
How did this happen?
The doctor asked.
My friend pushed me,
the boy replied. The doctor shook his head.
Not everyone you call a friend is really your friend,
he said.
Will I be okay?
The boy asked. The doctor smiled.
Yes, you'll be fine by tomorrow.
On the way home, the dog walked beside the boy and the man. Suddenly, the dog saw the boy's friend and barked furiously. The friend panicked and started running, but he tripped and hurt his arm.
Help me!
He cried, blaming the dog. The man leaned down and whispered to the boy,
Life often gives back what you give to others.
A few days later, a policeman came to the boy's house.
Your dog hurt another child,
he said.
We need to take it away.
The boy's father was shocked and upset.
Why did your dog hurt someone?
He shouted at the boy. The boy tried to explain, but his father wouldn't listen. The dog was taken away, leaving the boy heartbroken. For weeks, the boy sat alone in his room crying. He missed his dog terribly. One day, he went back to the playground, sitting on on the same bench where he had first met the dog. As he sat there, lost in thought, a voice behind him said,
Turn around.
The boy turned and saw the man holding his dog. Overjoyed, he ran to hug them both.
Thank you.
He said, tears of happiness streaming down his face. The man smiled and said,
Let's go for a walk.
as they walked, the man said,
Your friend hurt you again and again. Real friends don't do that.
the boy nodded.
I just didn't want to be alone.
He admitted. The man replied.
Life gave you a dog as a true friend.
The boy smiled and said,
The dog makes me happy every day.
the man nodded.
That's what real friendship is about.
From then on, the boy and his dog came to the playground every day. One afternoon, he saw his old friend sitting alone on a bench.
Why are you sitting by yourself?
The boy asked. The friend looked up sadly.
No one wants to be friends with someone fake.
He said. The boy didn't say anything. He simply walked away, his dog following close behind.